Hello everyone, and I hope you're having a great day today. So today we are having a full spoiler review of Endgame, and we are building Hank Pym's house as well along with it, because it's the only house that I have left out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to build. So it is a fun massive build with lots of hidden things and stuff like his lab underneath and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So if you haven't watched Endgame, then you need to click away now or put me on mute, because I will be talking about everything. And I went to see it on last Friday, and we actually had an Avenger in our cinema as well. We had Benedict Wong watching the film with us, which was super exciting. Said hello and everything beforehand, which was super cool. And even though he didn't play much of a part in the film itself, but we can excuse him for that because he is pretty epic. So overall, I thought it was a really good film. It was a really good end, I thought, to the two parts and to the 11 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I came away feeling happy, like feeling satisfied about the ending, and it was sad at the end, especially. Obviously, we'll get onto that when Tony sacrificed himself, but I don't think it was as sad as the end of the last one, and because it needed to, I kind of knew it was gonna happen by that point. I was like, he's gonna sacrifice himself, so kind of built up to it. Obviously, Tom Holland trying to make us all cry once again. It's like his literal role in these two films was just make everyone cry, which he does a very good job about it. Because one guy sitting near us was literally bawling his eyes out, and I was like, calm down, it's not as bad as last time. But anyway, the story overall I thought was pretty great. I kind of guessed that they were going to be going through time and stuff to pick up the stones and stuff, but it was quite a fun way of doing it, especially the stuff they get up to. Obviously, some of the ways to get the stone were not so fun, especially Clint and Natasha's struggle for the Soul Stone. That was really hard to watch, because you knew that both of them wanted to sacrifice himself. Obviously, Hawkeye wanting to sacrifice himself because he'd lost his family, or he thought he had lost his family. But obviously, Natasha knew that he would get them back in the end, and obviously she has a lot less on the line than he does. So I think the correct character sacrificed themselves in the end. I was quite surprised that Clint actually had so much stuff to do in this film. Obviously, he wasn't in the last one, so him and Ant-Man were literally the stars, near enough the stars of this part of the film. I always keep thinking it was parts because they were supposed to be parts, but you can watch this film completely separate. I think you might be a little bit confused, but them going back in time, obviously going back to when the first film was quite funny, especially when Bruce Hulk was trying to be all angry and stuff, and that was quite funny. And having them go back and try and steal the Tesseract off the Hydra people and of Loki as well. I'm really interested to see whether Loki actually managed to escape into space, especially the ending we got with Thor and Star-Lord teaming up together. So I imagine that they'll be off. He'll probably turn up somewhere in the somewhere in the universe, or unless when they went back to the 70s to get the Tesseract again, because obviously they fail, which is quite funny. Especially as Loki knew, kind of thought that Loki knew what was actually going on. Their little antics trying to get that, but I don't know whether because they stole it in the past, whether that same event happened, because obviously all the time stuff got messed up, which will be interesting to see how that kind of affects the the next phase of films, especially as in Spider-Man. If you've not watched the new trailer, we had it at the end because it would have spoiled Endgame because we had a newer trailer. We've had the one that just came out, and I was talking about the multiverse and stuff, which is going to be super cool if we get into all of that, or like the different realms and the nightmares and all that fun stuff that could happen, and all the different possibilities, because none of the characters could actually be dead because of the multiverse, and we could see Chris Evans playing Captain America in some shape or form come through from a different time. So none of the characters that actually died in this could still be alive in this new version of the timeline. And obviously we got to see Howard Stark and Tony interact together. Obviously we had Jarvis as well. If you watch Agent of Carter, he is a fun character. And then we didn't get Dominic West, which I was a bit annoyed about. I was like, oh, you could have gone back a little bit further to get the OG Stark. But alas, we got the older one. We also see Hank Pym as well in his young youthful wig and facial reconstruction and to make him look super young again, which was fun. And then stealing the Pym particles to get back. It was nice that Steve and Tony became friends again. I did appreciate all the Captain America ass jokes as well, because his ass is pretty good. No matter what way you're inclined, you have to appreciate his ass and it being the representation of America now. That was a good joke. And his battle with himself was pretty funny as well, because you could clearly see that he didn't want to hurt himself too much, but he was like, I'm gonna have to show him how it's done. And when he got in the lift with the Hydra agents and said Hydra, and I was just like, we had the little nod to Captain America being a Hydra agent in the comics at one point and making him bad. But even though it was like situational, I did appreciate him saying that. Especially as I was sitting there thinking like, oh, we're gonna get another civil war. I'm gonna beat them all up in the lift scene, but we didn't. It was a lot better. A lot better him saying Hail Hydra. I appreciated that a lot more. Just because of that little reference. And there's so much to talk about. It's like, how do you talk about 3 hours worth of things in like 21 minutes? I don't know. Anyway, what else is there to talk about? We can talk about Nebula, and that was really interesting as well. There, when her and Rhodey went off to Morag to try and find Star-Lord so they can get the Power Stone. That was really interesting how the timeline affected her being in a different thing. It was really interesting how her and herself was connected together, and it kind of altered the events of everything and sort of led that universe's the new Thanos to come through and sort of change the course of what was going to happen. It's quite interesting to see him being satisfied with the fact that he had done it somewhere, so it was okay that he was gonna either win or lose in this next fight. It was also interesting to see how Gamora kind of played a small-ish role, because obviously she did get thrown over the cliff in the last one, so she's not the same Gamora as she was, because this is pre Star-Lord and pre Guardians of the Galaxy. So it'd be interesting to see whether the next Guardians is all about trying to find her. And obviously we have to talk about Thor and his amazing new dire plan that I am so totally down with, and how he blamed himself. He still blames himself for not doing it in the first place, which was not his fault really. But sometimes you cannot help but blame yourself, and him going and setting up New Asgard and having Valkyrie. And that scene with him just coming with Rocket and the Hulk coming in and finding him just with that massive beer belly and him being wasted and having Korg and Meek just sitting there playing Fortnite. I imagine Fortnite will still be around in 2023, because the world hadn't moved on, and I imagine we'll still be all playing Fortnite in that time anyway. But it's always nice to see Korg and Meek, especially when they came back for the end battle as well. So it's nice to see them, and obviously we'll get Thor joining the Guardians for the next film of theirs, hopefully, and that'd be quite fun if Loki did turn up in that film as well, because I'd be super interested to find out what he thought about Thor's new figure. I also loved these scenes on Asgard as well, kind of his mum making sure that everything's all okay, and that she already knew that she was gonna die and stuff. It was quite a nice nod back. Obviously we didn't get Natalie Portman back because she pretty much hates hates the Thor franchise by now. They always try to get her, but she'll never come back. And obviously we had a small part of Okoye as well. We didn't get too much of like the Wakandan-ness because she was about the only one left, and they were dealing with their own issues there as well. So it kind of made sense that they weren't in it as much. But obviously in the end battle, when everyone gets whooshed whooshed through the spinning light, all the armies of Wakanda join the battle and everything like that. It was interesting how to get the time stone was pretty lame to get back, to be honest. Especially, it was interesting that what's her face, Tilda Swinton, I can't remember her name, the actual thing, the thingy one, the ancient one, knocked Bruce out of his Hulk body and to actually talk to him instead. So that was quite nice to see Bruce as being Bruce, even though they are pretty much one now. It's quite nice to see the reference to Professor Hulk as well, and it was quite a lame sort of way of getting the time stone off her, to be honest. I would quite like to have seen a little bit more, but then it's kind of you just have to hand it over, really. So it's probably not the biggest stone in the world. Obviously she had to do her little expedition about how the stones will affect other dimensions, and we needed to protect our reality from Dormammu. It'd be funny if Dormammu showed up in this, because that would make it more interesting. But we'll probably have to wait until after 2021. What else happened? There's too much again. Obviously the end battle was pretty epic, especially with Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. I kind of knew in Age of Ultron that he could pick up the hammer. I kind of thought that he was just being nice to Thor and saying that, oh, it's so hard, I'm not worthy, but like Thor said, he knew that Captain America could pick that up. So that was quite fun, them two kind of sparring together and using Mjolnir and the Stormbreaker hammer at the same time. That was pretty cool. The battle at the end, I thought it was like when they showed all the big CGI army, I was like, oh no, not another massive CGI army. But we haven't had that much action in this movie, so it kind of balanced it out. This one was a bit more like story and banding together, and not too much of like, let's just beat the crap out of Thanos constantly. So that was kind of a nice different change of pace as well. Obviously everyone was a lot sadder, but the end battle was a very satisfying. Obviously all the characters got to come back. We got Spidey back, and the kind of interactions between everyone was quite nice to see again, which was always fun. And obviously we have to talk about Captain Marvel, how could I forget her? I quite liked her use in this film. It was kind of not, didn't use her too much, and you could tell that obviously in the end battle she was getting close to Thanos, but he could obviously really beat her up if if he needed to, like he did with the Power Stone. So she was a correct power level compared to everyone else. I kind of imagine that she's the same sort of power level to Thor, and Thor kind of knows that as well with the way that he interacted with her at the beginning, that he liked her and thought that she had something going for it. She hadn't lost all hope, and that they could do still prevail in the end. So that was quite nice. And she's got a new haircut as well. People are saying that it's kind of styled off Marvel in kind of a tribute type of thing. I don't quite like her short hair. I prefer her with like either the mohawk type of thing or the actual long hair. But if they're going with that, then that is cool with me. It's hair is hair. I can change it all the time. It's probably can shove a wig over the top, and it'll be completely different in the next one. So who knows? And obviously the end with all the bad guys fading to dust was very satisfying, and Thanos just sitting down, chilling to fade away. It was kind of happy. I don't know whether he's happy in defeat, but kind of almost satisfied that he'd given his best and was defeated, and especially as Tony kind of sacrificed himself to do so, was probably what he wanted in the end, really. Even though we all knew that Tony wouldn't be able to survive having the glove on, especially as how much damage it did to Hulk in that moment. And I don't know whether Hulk will ever come back from that, whether his arm is going to be permanently damaged, or I have no idea what the future for the Phase 4 is going to be. Obviously they've tried to hint at it in Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man Far From Home is going to address a lot of what's changed in the universe from post 4 snapping now. It'd be quite interesting to see whether Mysterio is actually from a different version of Earth, or whether he's just saying that, whether he's going to be the big bad or some sort of big bad is another question. Obviously we'll find out only in a few months' time, which is super cool that it's so close. I think we needed one a little bit closer than waiting till about October, November time, just to fill in what's gonna be next. Because obviously we didn't get the post-credit scene either, because Spider-Man was technically our post-credit scene, because it was just him being depressed about Iron Man not being there. And so we had the banging at the end, whether that was just a callback to the first Iron Man, or whether it was anything more that might suggest something is coming, or they're going to rebuild the MCU. Be interesting now that Disney own Fox, how the new mutants and the X-Men are going to be introduced, because I'm sure that we'll find out a little bit more once the Spider-Man has come out, especially if they have come from different multiverses, or whether it's a bit more like Scarlet Witch, who is still majorly overpowered than everyone else and could literally snap Thanos' head off, as we clearly could tell in that film, and still don't use her to her full advantage. Whether it's going to be more like that because the people who got brought back were brought back by the Infinity Stones, it's changed their DNA or their makeup or something like that, and then we'll get mutants with powers and stuff like that. Who knows? I'm sure we will find out in the near future. Hopefully. I don't know when they're going to start doing that phase, but here we are in the screenshots. I hope you enjoyed the film as well. I hope you enjoyed this build. stuff, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. And see you soon. Bye.